our vision that we have for displays is, like, it can be summarized in 3 points. It's simplify, performance, and open. And we're trying to achieve these by 3 different initiatives we have taken over the last years. So first of all is simplify. I think here the acquisition of DoubleClick has helped us a lot. We have joined forces with one of the companies that has helped to make the pains of buying online display much more easier for both advertisers and publishers. The second point we're talking about is performance. Whatever performance is for you. If performance is how many advertisers are visiting your web page after the campaign, if performance is for you one of the brand metrics that Daniel has been talking about earlier, whether it is how many people are buying something from your store, and so on. The important aspect from our side is that you keep measuring it and really pay attention to what drives revenue for you and what does not. The third one is openness. Here we try to create a marketplace where most advertisers have the chance to buy inventory from most publishers as possible through as little friction as possible. Initiatives that we have in this field is the DoubleClick Ad Exchange that I'm going to cover a little bit about, but also Google AdWords that you're all familiar with, and the Display Ad Builder. Both are initiatives that allow even small advertisers to run display campaigns that they might in the past not have been able to. And it allows very small website operators to put relevant ads onto their web pages so that you can also reach them. Speaking about the DoubleClick Ad Exchange, the Ad Exchange is a marketplace or stock exchange, you could say, for large networks to buy and sell excess inventory that they cannot fill themselves from the publisher side, or for buying networks or advertisers to reach audiences across a lot of networks where these users are browsing. And for you as an advertiser, you can buy all of the inventory that is on the DoubleClick Ad Exchange through our AdWords interface, and therefore have the normal tools, the normal targeting technology, all the optimization mechanisms and so on that you're used to. And you also have the service and the measurement and analytics tools. Some of you might say, well, yeah, I understand search. I understand that this works with Google. I also tried display. I've also tried text on the Google Content Network. And display works well for me as a branding tool, but display as a performance tool on the Google Network, does it really work? Well, the good message for us is it does work. We have a lot of examples. This one is from a distant learning company, the Oxford College. They have something like 25,000 students enrolled. And in the past, they have done most of their customer acquisition via traditional online media, newspapers, magazines, and so on. They reached a point at which they could not drive more conversions. So they tried to try something else and started with text advertising in Google Content Network. After a short while, they realized that this was quite successful for them, so they also tried image. And image gave them a real boost. It is now driving 50% of all their online conversions, and they have been able to really reduce the cost of getting new students enrolled by 20%. We see this kind of success with a lot of response-oriented advertisers. So the average or median advertiser gets 20% of their conversions that they get from Google already from the Google Content Network. So 80% still from search, but 20% from the Google Content Network. And they see, on average, a content network CPA that is 6% lower than search. When walking through the different stages of a display campaign, you have a lot to consider. You first have to plan, which kind of audience you want to reach. You have to think about the creative. You have to think about targeting. You really want to measure what you're doing, and you should always try and optimize the campaign while it is running or before launching a new campaign. This will be a little bit the framework guiding you through the next slide. So every time you get lost, just look at the top right corner and you will see one wheel that tells you which stage you're in. Talking about which audience to target. I don't know if you all know the double-click ad planner. How many of you have already played with it? Okay, I'd say 25% maybe. The double-click ad planner gives you an overview for specific, you can use it as a planning tool, but you can also use it to look at specific web pages and see how what kind of audience is active on this web page. Try to do it with your own web page. It might be 80% of the results you'll see there is probably something you will assume, maybe 90%. But there's always this 10-20% that you did not think about before. So it might give you new ideas about which kind of interests your users actually have. So what does it tell us? It tells us which interests these users are into. We have categorized them by certain, I think, 600 categories or so at the moment. You can also look at which other websites that these customers visit that are actually on my site. And thirdly, you can also look at which keywords are typical keywords that a customer is looking for who is browsing my website. Or you can also use it who's browsing my competitor's website or this other website I'm interested in. We use this a lot when planning keyword campaigns to actually get an idea which keywords would drive the audience that we want to finally lead to the website. After you know which kind of customers you want to reach, the next thought should be about the creative. And that's probably the most artistic and least analytical part of making a campaign for most advertisers. But being a technology company, we also try to do a lot of things that make it possible to measure and optimize on such creatives. So we offer you a wide range of formats that you can use and a few tools with which you can easily try if things are working for you or not. Speaking of formats, I think the last 2 years maybe have seen a huge increase in rich media, image ads created as Flash or otherwise. We're also seeing some pre-roll or other in-stream video ads coming. This is mainly a US thing at the moment. So in Europe, to be honest, there is outside YouTube not too many pre-roll advertising yet. We're also seeing these overlay ads that you're probably also familiar with from YouTube. So if you watch a video, you have on the bottom of the screen, you see a message coming up. And also in the United States, we're now seeing heavy usage of expandables. Expandables are ads that cover a certain part of your web page, but if the user clicks on the ad, it expands and uses more space in the web. Here, the good news for us is we're working together with, well, we have agreements in place and are working together with a lot of different rich media vendors. So you can create your ad in any of these formats and then deliver them on our network, as you can also on other networks. This is a very nice example by retail company eBay that has a creative that dynamically changes depending on the context the ad is displayed upon. So on this left-hand side, we have a page that is mainly about digital cameras. So here we have an ad that will show you all the auctions from eBay that relate to digital camera. On the right hand, we have an automotive site. On this one, they have an ad that shows you automotive auctions that are happening in an area close to you. This is something that is quite powerful to really deliver the right message to the end user. Unfortunately, on Google, it's not yet available in Europe, but we're working hard to get it running as well. I spoke earlier about trying to be able to test several things. We have one tool that was first created to please small advertisers. Many small advertisers don't have the money to hire a large creative company that allows them to create multiple different ads and then upload them. So for them, our engineers thought about a tool that's called the Display Ad Builder. It allows to very easily, within a few clicks, create quite interesting, compelling ads, and to also create several of them. So you can try different messages, different ad creatives, and so on. First intended as a tool for small advertisers, we're now also seeing a lot of agencies experimenting with this tool. So what they're doing is, instead of investing a lot of creative work, they try different formats, they deliver them online, and then they see which ones of those are performing best, and then go with this one to their creative agency to deliver then the real glossy, very professional ads. And we also have some innovative formats in this one that we upload from time to time. This is a quite recent example of a Twitter ad. What it allows you is to make use of the messages that you're already using on your social networks, on your Twitter feeds, and put them into an ad that you can then serve on the network. So it's mainly an extension of your social activities to reach users on the web with these messages at the same time. It is not, people can argue if it's pretty or not, but the results we're getting from it is quite good, because it gets you into the conversation with the end user, and you will get a lot of more followers on your Twitter feed. Once you know which audience you want to reach and which creatives are working best for you, it makes sense to think about targeting. So where do I find the audience that I really want to get? And here, the Google Content Network offers mainly 4 different means to reach them. The first 2 are based on the pages that the user is visiting. Here, you can either advertise by keywords, as you're used to from the search, or you can just choose keyword categories that you want to target that websites belong to, or you can take the more crude approach, which is what most traditional media agencies prefer, which is directly selecting the sites you want to appear on. This is very good if you want to keep control where your brand is appearing and want to keep it especially before the ad is shown. But you lose out a lot of opportunity of customers that you might have found someplace else in the web that you didn't think of in the first place when you just thought about placements. The other 2 formats that we have are more based on where the user has been so far. So it's not targeting the website he's currently on. It is more targeting the user based on what we know about. And I'll come to this a little bit later. Speaking about large-scale keyword advertising or large-scale category advertising, one thing that is currently very hot in the United States is the so-called Google Content Network Blast. It allows you within a few hours, let's say 24, 48 hours, to really reach millions of customers by spreading your message all over the web. It works exceptionally well when you're launching a new product, like a new car or a new service that you want to advertise and you want to make aware for people just for a short period of time. The other advertiser we're seeing for which this works really well are advertisers that have something on offer just for a very short period. So I don't know if any of you have seen the ad, but there was a intermediary that offered discounts when you go to a very famous coffee store, of which I'm not sure if I'm allowed to name Starbucks, but so what they did is they offered vouchers that would allow you, give you 80% discount at Starbucks. And this offer was only valid for 2 days. So they needed really a broad reach of customers, and we could deliver this in a very, very short period of time. The other thing that comes in here, which is probably not so interesting for my American colleagues, because they tend to be quite focused on the American market. The international reach of the Google Content Networks helps you to reach customers in very different markets, all with the same message, all within a short time frame, all with just one network file. You don't have to travel through 12 markets and reach agreements with, I don't know, 25, 50 publishers or 50 networks. You can just use the Google Content Network and spread the message as broad as possible. A company that used this approach in the United States was Infiniti, a car manufacturer. They were holding or were sponsoring a basketball challenge. And they needed something to drive more people to this challenge, and needed an idea how to reach these kind of customers. So what they did is they did a large-scale targeting of basketball-interested people, and bought up basically all basketball available content in the United States for 3 days, I think 3 or 4 days, and directed all this traffic to this one basketball challenge on which they were advertising their product. They also used a YouTube homepage buy, which is the most the highest reach that you can get with just buying one single page. And here they overall, with this blast and with YouTube, they netted 80 million impressions within 3 days and got 150,000 contest signups. So I think that's quite a good example. This is a slide for, I'm not sure how many of you have already seen it, but it's an old thing. It's something we do all the time. So I'm sorry to bore you with it if you all know what it is, but I realize in my conversations with customers that probably 75 people usually in the room know it already, and for the other 25 it's just an aha, this is how it's working. And I'm always amazed how good our algorithm works on this. So I'm talking about, of course, our context-sensitive advertising. So we as Google have one problem when we want to build our search index. We need to understand what the web pages are about that we try to index. This is also the same question you have to ask yourself when you think about which websites are relevant for a specific keyword to place my ads on. So we have an algorithm that goes through a website. It's different from the search algorithm, but it's the basic, or a lot of the same philosophies there. This one tries to see how many, or which words I see on a web page. It looks at where are these words on the web page? How often do they appear? In which surroundings or in which context do they appear? So we know that even though Java appears on the site, it would not be wise to place a software ad or a vacation ad for Bali on this page, because it is only about Java in the context of cup and coffee. And lastly, we're also looking at sizes and where on the page is it in the header, is it someplace else, and so on. So what we derive from this one is the keywords that this website is about. It's a little bit like what we do in search, while placement targeting is, if you want to say, a little bit like what Yahoo used to do in the beginning, by trying to categorize the web, by having people look at it and placing all the websites into different categories that they would fit into. So this allows us to reach a very huge amount of websites where the interaction on the site, or the talk on the site, or the topic of this one article is especially about something that is relevant to this keyword, and if you target this keyword, relevant to your ad. If you are so far not yet convinced that it really performs, I have one very drastic example from a banking company in the United States here. They first were very picky about which website they appeared, so they started with placement advertising at an average CPC of $12, a CPA of $4,300, and a conversion rate of a little bit less than 0.3%. When they started keyword advertising, they have been able to reduce the cost per click to a fourth of what it was before. They have been able to increase the conversion rate threefold, and so overall have reduced their CPA by a 12th. And this helped them to really make their campaigns successful. You won't always see such a drastic example, and they're always very drastic when it comes to finance, where there are few websites you really want to advertise on, and few websites you really want to, you really know in the beginning that you want to advertise on, and those are mainly, especially in the US, overbooked and very pricey. But you will see similar results with almost every larger campaign that has so far been picking on websites. Don't get me wrong that I'm saying you should be on every website with your ad. I understand that there are a lot of websites that you might not feel suitable for your ad. But if you choose in the beginning to not even think about new ones, you're losing out a lot of opportunity. It's much better to start by using keywords and then looking into the campaign and excluding all the sites that are not working well for you. So you still have a well-running campaign that is then only on sites you like, but you have a lot of sites that you didn't think about in the next targeting technology that we have is, as I said, based on the user, not the website that he's visiting. Here we are talking about remarketing and interest category marketing, and we're very lucky to have Steve here today, who will be able to cover this after my presentation and talk a little bit more about these two in detail. So if you want to have success in display, there's one thing you always have to do. Measure, 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 and optimize. One company for which this worked quite well is Murad, or however it's pronounced. It's an American skincare company. They first had a campaign running which was working okay for them, but it didn't really give them the great results they were looking for. So what they did was they looked deeply into the data that drives their conversions and drives their sales, and have been able to increase sales by 15% while reducing the cost per acquisition by 13%. How did they do this? Bless you. It's basically, it's very simple. If you look into an AdWords account, and you're probably all aware of this mechanism when it comes to search, but very few people use it actually also on display advertising. You can see which keywords are working well, which parts of the campaign are working well, and especially which placements are most of your conversions coming from, if you have enabled conversion tracking on your pages. And then looking at these different web pages, seeing how many clicks they bring, how many conversions they bring, and so on, you can optimize based on the sites, you can optimize based on the time of the day, you can optimize based on demographics, and you can optimize by looking at the frequency by which you're showing ads to customers, and reduce or increase this, whichever is necessary. In our DNA, we're still a technology company, so we try to solve as many things as possible with algorithms. Some people say about Apple, they have an app for everything, and we have an algorithm for not everything, but for a lot of things. We even have one that looks at optimizing. So if you're using conversion tracking, it's just one click away to go to our conversion optimizer and give it a try. To optimize your campaigns based on a lot of factors that would be too time consuming if you would try to do it on a manual basis. So let's look at this example. You could find out that customers that come from a very specific location have a much higher likelihood of driving a conversion. You could also find out that users coming with different web browsers have a very different kind of conversion on your website. So it might be interesting to reduce for customers coming in with Google Chrome and increase for customers coming in with Firefox. You can, as I mentioned earlier, it's very important to look at which web pages are actually bringing me customers that in the end really drive conversions. And you can also look at the time of the day, which this algorithm also does automatically. And it pays off. This is an example for, I think, a London company, I'm not exactly sure. But they have been really able, by using these automated mechanisms, to increase their conversions fourfold and reduce their CPCs at the same time by 75%. Probably would half of this already been enabled by manual optimization, but using the automated mechanism helps a lot. I really love this quote from one of the agency managers. She says, it's difficult to tease out all the factors playing into our marketing results. But like oxygen, I don't need to see it to know that conversion optimizer is there. I just can't live without it anymore. We want more customers to think like this. We talked a lot about, in Daniel's and Nick's presentation especially, we talked a lot about it. It's not only about clicks, it's not only about conversions. There are a lot of other things that you see driven by a campaign. And there are also a lot of things, forgive me for thinking in a silo, that you can also measure online for your specific campaign. The first is view-through conversions. With view-through conversions, I know it's heavily disputed within the marketplace. There are a lot of people who are saying it's the ultimate hail bringer of display advertising, because now you can see all the customers coming in that have just seen the ad. But I know many other people that say it's just all crap, it's just clicks that counts, and whatever comes from this one is just erratic and doesn't really help what they've seen the ad. I think it is somewhere in the middle ground. You should pay attention to view-through conversions, but you should not give them the same value as click-through conversions. Here again, sorry to speak about our tools. In AdWords, you can switch on view-through conversions for display ads and can see the value, not the value, the amount view-through conversions for a specific campaign that you get through it. You can also see which web page is driving these view-through conversions. And I think this is the more interesting part of it. Because here you can see those customers that are actually converging on your website. Where have they seen your ad? Which might give you completely new ideas about which web pages to target in the future, and also which pages to optimize on in your existing campaign. Another very exciting tool that we have launched recently, or still in beta, but it is available, is Campaign Insights. With Campaign Insights, we try to understand what has actually happened to those people seeing your ad online. Did they search for specific? Did they search more for specific keywords or terms, or did they visit specific websites more often than people who have not seen the ad? So how do we do this? We have a lot of data, as you all know, and actually most of it, I would love to say all of it, is what we. Well, no, I'm not talking about Street View now. So all of the data we have is acquired by tools that we're using. So we look at the customers that have seen your ad and measure about how many of those are now searching for the specific term that you want to analyze, or are now visiting the specific website that you're interested in. And we then compare this information with a target group that with a control group that displays the same online behavior. So they're visiting the same sites, they're doing the same things, but they haven't seen your ad. And we're then now subtracting whatever this control group has contributed to visiting the specific websites you're interested in. And what we get as a result is those that have visited this website because they have seen your ad. Statistically, they would have not otherwise. Last but not least, you're all familiar with our auction mechanism for Google search, or for AdWords on Google search. We use the same mechanism on the Google Content Network. So when you're buying display, you should make sure that you pay the market price and you don't pay anything that is is above it. So I guess you're all familiar with the mechanism, right? You always pay 1 cent more than you would have needed to pay in order to show at the specific location. Otherwise, if you would have paid 1 cent less, a different customer would have appeared in this specific placement. So we, in advance of being a very fair system because of the auction, our pricing always gives you the ability to change things very fast. So you can reduce bids, you can increase bids, you can increase or reduce budgets or anything. You don't need a fixed contract that actually says within the next 2 months you're bound to spend this specific amount. So you might remember this chart. We had it earlier today. So we are very exciting on what has happened over the last year and what is happening now in 2010 for us. I think over the last 12 months, 59 of the top 100 advertising age companies in the UK have tried display on the Google Content Network. And I think that's quite an amazing number. And we are seeing a lot of things that are coming this year and that should make the process of buying and optimizing and measuring online display even better and even faster for you. So as I said earlier with the wrong presentation, I'm excited to look at 2010. But there's more. And what is more is one of our very efficient tools, which is remarketing and interest-based advertising that Steve is going to cover now.